like that.
David. Okay, great. Well, here we are, everybody. Three poets from San Francisco, one from San Francisco, and myself and Jack Cooper here in Paris. We're down to a trio tonight of Angora Poets World Cafe. And we're about to give you three poems each. And at least, I don't know what poems are up in advance because I don't screen them, people. And we don't cancel people who disagree with us, by the way. Um, but what I will do is promise that what I have to do is not going to feel comfortable given the current climate. Anyway, here we go. Let's introduce first. Who would you like to go first? Poets? Three poems.
Uh, sure,
I'm
yeah.
going to get my
What?
Roarshock. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first, I guess, this time.
Okay. So, okay, welcome.
I'm gonna do a couple of quick one-liners because the third one is like a little bit longer than usual, but not horribly over the top long.
Well, it's not Shelley's Invasion of Greece.
No, it's not the rhyme of the ancient mariner either.
It's not one of lovely David Sirwaz 12-minute poems, his
No.
song poems.
Hopefully
Okay.
less than that.
Okay.
But we'll start with a couple of new covers which I've done before because they're two of my favorite poems. I'll start with Ezra Pound in The Station of the Metro. The apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough.
Yeah.
And then the second
Hmm.
one, we'll
Do
do,
that again, David, please.
sure,
Do that. Do that again, please.
in a station of the metro, the apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough.
Whew. All right.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Love
And
it.
then second one, let's do Robert Frost, The Span of Life. The old dog barks backwards without getting up. I can remember when he was a pup.
Okay. All right.
So three's
Now
a charm.
three's a
Three's a
charm,
charm.
baby. All right.
Okay, Rorschach Impressions, Paris 2022. As the old saying goes, nothing new under the sun. We humans are a young race. Maybe we can create something new under the sun. But even when and if we do, the foundations of our works are in ancient cave paintings. We are each alone, unique, but we are all the same. When some young woman opens herself and takes you to bed, to that moment of perfect satisfaction after both of you have come, fleeting, forever chased, forever sought, I want to do it again. Even having lived already for a while, children born out of acts of love, all grown, making their own love, so that although inside I am the same awkward youth, I am a grandfather, pleased to live long, whatever that means. If anything, it means nihilism does not work, or at least does not account for the continuation of art and culture. If one burns bright and fast, it still might make an impression, built or created to last. In the great moments, museums of art, what happened in Paris? Waiting for the bus line 69 at Rue de Chemin Vert. Going to the museum in the early morning, parents taking children to school, a dad herding them along. The littlest girl, not 2 feet tall, looks up at me and smiles. Bonjour, she says. In the Louvre, ahead of the big crowds, my Mona Lisa smiles at me. Bonjour, she says. My museum advice, go early or maybe go late. Perhaps find yourself alone in a gallery with Vincent van Gogh, a hand's breadth away from a painting he made with his own hand, the same hand with which he took his own life. I won't condemn anyone who does that, although if loved, it brings a selfish pain to those who remain, like the family and friends of Anthony Bourdain. But if not forced, death will still come in its own time, and our little life will be rounded with a sleep, and only what we begot or created may remain, or not. A painting from the Middle Ages, constrained by Christendom, as was most all Western art in that era, but the creative imagination exceeds all limits. Artists were just as far out in 1492, 92, and 2022. Romanesque through the end of Gothic, Renaissance to photorealism, lowbrow pop surrealism, contemporary art, a postmodern world, a little picture of Saint so-and-so on some angel in the Louvre appears in an electronic exploding cloud above a jail, and the prisoners below escaping as they had been praying for. This is a radical piece of art, an affront to church and state, to the authorities and society. Mona Lisa smiles away. Centuries of art roll along. Renoir and Manet show us the good Parisian life 150 years ago. Photographs and movies had been invented. Exhibition of real old films at the Musée d'Orsay. Music hall magical illusions transformed and passed down to computer animators today. We are all telling our own same story, which must be told, or at least that is my impression. As to art, I am a communist. The artists should be paid better than kings and queens. Kings and queens! The art should be free for all to see. $450 million for a Leonardo. But culture must be for all. The worst miser being he who buys great art and hides it away like a jealous lover. And all for naught. Fuck art, let's dance, Lawrence Ferlinghetti said, and I agree. That's a fine sentiment. I am an American in Paris, still in a jet lag. Time has come today, said Lester Chambers on Sunday at Golden Gate Park. A dude who knows what time it is. In Caffé La Reflect, with the French film students. I have been here before, along with the ghost of Jim Morrison's voice, a former student of Jack Hirschman, which follows me around Paris, in cafes and bars since I first arrived. The manager was having a smoke out on the Rue Champion. I recognized him. We both look older than before the plague years. Local IPA, everyone speaking French. I still speak no French. I feel ashamed, even though I know I should not feel ashamed, because this is the Latin Quarter, and none of us speaks Latin. But I have sat at the bar before and in the alleyways, and if time allows, I will again, with students old and young, wheels. It feels like a movie. Friday happy hour at the Moose, local pale ale. Everyone speaking English. All the Paris bars that I visited before are familiar and welcoming, but I do not feel like a local. When I studied Spanish in school, it was all about grammar, how to conjugate verbs, not how to speak. I am a wordsmith, and I work in English, a complicated language. But I am so very limited. The kind old man next to me points to the newspaper, mentions news of the day. Unrest in Iran. I can only agree. Iran's rulers are evil bastards. He shakes his white, wild hair, drinks his coffee, and departs. I have lived over 30 years near Chinatown. Have never learned any Cantonese, though my daughter was made honorary Chinese by her classmates. I am impressed by those who learn a second language, or third, or fourth. I am truly impressed. As I reflect in Caffé La Reflect, it still feels like a movie. On the last full day of this Paris visit, mostly I have walked around, drinking coffee, beer, and wine, looking American, I do not doubt. I am in a cinema cafe this time. Probably no cinema of my visit. Probably no cinema of my visit to the den of Bill Strangmeyer. But he has a lot of books. When I check out from my hotel, raining lightly in Paris, first rain since I arrived, take the 93 bus to Gare du Nord. Allowed plenty of time, so now 2 hours till my train to Amsterdam. What do I do now with the rain falling outside? I wait. I could maybe tighten that up a bit, but it's a fun one.
Well, that was a quick one.
Yeah.
That's why the first two were only one line. That's why.
That'll be the delight to anthology editor's task.
I'll have to send it to some anthology editor.
Yeah, you do. All right. Wow, man. The travels of Dharma Dave Roarshock.
I'm telling you.
Okay, thank you, man. Okay, so now may we move over back to Paris in this exchange and welcome Jack Cooper on.
Yes. I have, this might actually work for all three. This is longish piece, written long ago, but I've been thinking about it. Now enters something new to spoil my love. Anger, more distasteful than self-pity. We've had fun together, I say. I have had fun. Have you? I ask as she hesitates. Sometimes, she slowly replies. Always the same cautious ambivalence. This constant compromise because she cannot believe. And there, with that thought, my anger is cooled. If she cannot believe, she cannot believe. and nothing there is in this horrid half-life without love that exists to persuade her, to revive her dead faith. Ah, blessed death, sweet, constant, blessed, irrevocable death, you Argus-nosed puppy, cuddling every shoulder, every thigh, you single, ubiquitous, thousand-eyed, grotesque, heinous fly with 100 faces, each one the same noisome, sinister messenger. I will not have my passion disgraced and degraded. I am so ashamed now, ashamed of the time, of the heart, hope, and futility spent on a single being in whose heart there is no place for me. In her memory, yes. In her remembered heart, yes. There in the corner where the wound is, the great blue bruise which does not even bear my name. What a buffoon I am and have become to wallow before her and call it love. She does not laugh. Worse, she does not believe. She denies, she says reluctantly, sometimes, and does not mean it, nor me, seriously. It is over. It is finished. I am done with it. There is cicatrice where there once was feeling, calling gently, mistress. I could catalog my faults, my mistakes. I could lose precious time finding hers, but all runs contrary to my desire. At the outset, always to let down freely and gently one portion of my coiled soul, to pour forth some part of it, to make it sound so beautifully, to begin my precious, delicate work, which is my all of my work, my whole life, which is my distant, my forlorn, my constant love, my delight, my ecstatic fervor, which sees in its tranquil gaze some beautiful, painful, and necessary thing everywhere. But I am denied, and now anger is larded on pain and bitterness hazarded on disappointment, silence on sorrow, and my longing on nothing. And I am treated as a tender fool, as I should be, urged to get well, pleaded with to be quiet, whose complaint is as painful to hear as the poor, dumb sobs of a beast. I am prepared to lose you, though one innermost part of me, the wildest, strangest, and most exotic creature caged within me, will still carry on, beat its deep purple wings, its festooned deep purple wings, clambering in the cell where it feeds on unholiest emotions. Part bat, part bird, ape and butterfly. The tensed, thin steel of its cage, silver in the darkness, resounds with tympanic need. Its dumb, blind scream, which is the sound of doom if it is not satisfied. No words may tell it, no words venture where it is. It is a telepathic creature. An image only may reveal it, and the nearness view, whoever you may be, only will content it, listening as the ear of night listens, as the strange four-legged thing on the wall is aware.
Hmm. To be a fly on the wall of that cover. Oof.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I I have to ask, I mean, uh, has the person, the woman of this poem, has she read this or listened to it?
Yes, yeah, she has actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Dare say, did she have a reaction?
yes, she did. Yeah,
And that being what, I might ask.
that 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 being that um, several years later, she lived in she left New York and went to San Francisco.
Mm,
And the night before she left, I really laid it out,
mm,
um, how I felt about her. And she was surprised. I guess for some reason I mean, I think it was, given the time, I was not very discreet about my adventures with other women. And so I don't think that she took me seriously. And so several years later, when she had been asked, she was seeing somebody else, and that person wanted to marry her. She actually came to New York to see me, and we met. And by that time, I had moved on, and it was a curious experience because at that point she had no effect on me.
oh, okay. Well, after that,
What's that? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wow.
I'm sorry she didn't.
Well,
I would have preferred that she had.
poem as indictment. It
Yeah,
can be like that. It can be like that.
yeah,
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Jack. Wow.
yeah,
Quite a revelatory piece.
yeah,
All right. Well, I'm going to go next, and I'm going to go with three poems that are, uh, anyway, they're just three, we call it usual length poetry. Now, because of the war upon Gaza, uh, I decided, I've been reading here in Paris to French audiences who grasp what's going on much more broadly than the Americans, of course,
yeah,
as they usually do.
yeah.
Anyway,
Better situated.
yeah, and less convinced by the propaganda. Anyway, so of all things, I'm going to read a poem in sympathy I project to the Palestinian people and to all people suffering, from situations of, you know, personal harm and collective harm. Uh, and anyway, ironically, I'm selecting a poem by a Jewish songwriter that I think expresses, bridges the gap or the gulf that the Americans have between one battered people and another. And so this is Leonard Cohen, and it's called Almost Like the Blues. I saw some people starving. There was murder. There was rape. Their villages were burning. They were trying to escape. I couldn't meet their glances. I was staring at my shoes. It was acid. It was tragic. It was almost like the blues. I have to die a little between each murderous thought. And when I'm finished thinking, I have to die a lot. There's torture and there's killing, and there's all my bad reviews. The war, the children missing. Lord, it's almost like the blues. So I let my heart get frozen to keep away the rot. My father says I'm chosen. My mother says I'm not. I listened to their story of the gypsies and the Jews. It was good. It wasn't boring. It was almost like the blues. There is no God in heaven. There is no hell below. So says the great professor of all there is to know. But I've had the invitation that a sinner can't refuse. It's almost like salvation. It's almost like the blues.
Yeah, Lenny,
Okay,
Lenny,
yes.
thank you, Mo, for
Okay.
that.
So and now I'm going to read ding ding. Okay. Um
That's art.
thank you. Um two poems that I read in the season. The first one, uh I October, fire color, syrup sweet, dripping vines, grand my consummate embrace of passion, ablaze my glorious variations, radiant, defiant, my stand in the throes of encroaching shadows, triumphant for a spellbinding moment. Here it comes, so quickly goes, misty haze aromatic, my perfumes scent the harvest. Take me, intoxicate, dine at my table, drink me to your fill, excite with me, spread your limbs free, my winds swirl and whirl and rustle you open, beautiful, naked flight of the leaves. Night owl howls, field mouse dance, a distant train passing in the night. Its lazy cadence beckons you dream as it shuffles by gently, a steel-willed lullaby. Past the plenitude of mother springs, seeds are ripened. Past the plenitude of father summer's fallen fruits. Take me, le grand dame, yours encore et encore. November, soon to strip me to the raw. December, to bury me in his white shroud of snow. October, last grand consummate embrace of passion, bittersweet before the silence.
Nice, nice. All right.
Okay, now I want to give you my November poem, if I may. I grew up in Pittsburgh, which is some 70 miles south of Lake Erie. So I followed this one day from my kitchen window in Pittsburgh, and it's simply called November, Western Pennsylvania. When the great lake recedes into itself, gels to frigid mass, her elements condense, iced to inertia by crystalline spearheads launched from the throat of Arctic. They scour the loping whitecaps of Erie to lance the halls of nomad steamers. When polar furies gallop the glazed plain, howl their venomous gales, flocks flee with locust horde, mote snared in stiff barbed pines, while great schools of trout solipsis submerge in liquid marble solitudes. Sirens rise from cavernous chambers, from aqua black pits in the womb of her. 100 miles due south, a lapse in time descends upon this land, unnoticed by city and industry town, river crawling through valley, stream treading mud banks, pond convolutes to motionless spirals, squirrel, rabbit, muting gray, deer herd thins, and brittle leaves snap like match heads, movement measured in mortal ticks. All the dogs are pensive, insatiable shadow, a glove upon all. Within my corrugated urban fabric maze, a speck of yard, my countryside, dormant patch of wind-scathed crest, suspended, slumber, limbo, lull. Between trumpet blast of autumn shock and fluted shrill of winter, soulful peal of cello chords when poplar bows the breeze. Each raw note, one raw nerve, unleashed nature, her bare and naked self, tree of bone, rock of muscle, hills of twisted spine. My seasonal contributions.
Nice.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right. Nice work, man.
Well, thank
Really,
you.
really nice. Nice.
Well, I appreciate hearing that from you too.
I know those. I used to ride from New York to Ohio, to Southern Ohio,
Yeah.
passing through Pittsburgh, passing by Pittsburgh. I remember those fogs.
Yeah.
Yeah,